The United States has approved multi-day strikes in Iraq and Syria. That's after an Iranian drone attack killed 3 American service members and wounded 40 others. How is Washington preparing for a potential invasion of Taiwan? A closer look at how a round of critical military drills helped arm Australia and the Pacific region against Beijing's threat. New York's governor and a city councilman are calling for the deportations of a group of illegal immigrants who allegedly attacked 2 on-duty police officers near Times Square. With promises of financial and other aid coming from the government, French farmers have suspended their protests as others across the EU continue. The state of Texas is suing 5 of its cities for their laws on marijuana. The cities have legalized it, which conflicts with state law. We'll bring you the details. A California woman was last seen in a lake in Guatemala 15 weeks ago. Despite witnesses, her family still has more questions than answers. Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Jack Bradley, and right now we have some breaking news. Multi-day military strikes in Iraq and Syria. Washington has given the green light for these. Now, the now-approved plan will take aim at multiple targets, including Iranian personnel and facilities. CBS News reported it on Thursday, citing U.S. officials. It's a response to a drone attack in northeastern Jordan near the Syrian border this week. It killed 3 U.S. service members and wounded 40 more. Now, based on shrapnel found from the attack location, U.S. officials confirmed the drone was Iranian-made. President Joe Biden said Tuesday he had made up his mind on how the U.S. would respond, while Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the day before that the U.S. would respond. It could be multi-leveled, come in stages, and be sustained over time. The drone attack was the first deadly strike against U.S. forces since the Israel-Gaza war erupted in October. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin publicly apologizing today for not being more transparent about his health with his colleagues and the public. He says he takes full responsibility and regrets not informing the president about his cancer diagnosis. The apology comes after Austin was released from the hospital early January. He was widely criticized for his lack of transparency.
But I want to be crystal clear. We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right. I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people. I also missed an opportunity to send a message on an important public health issue, and I'd like to fix that right now. I was diagnosed with a highly treatable form of cancer, a pretty common one. 1 in 8 American men will get prostate cancer. 1 in 6 black men will get it. And so I'm here with a clear message to other men, especially older men. Get screened, get your regular checkups. Prostate cancer has a glass jaw.
Austin was diagnosed with prostate cancer early last December. He had surgery a few weeks later, then suffered complications from the procedure and had to be rushed to the hospital. In other news, tensions are rising between the U.S. and China as the potential for a Beijing invasion of Taiwan looms. How is Washington preparing for possible war? Here's a closer look. NTD's Dave Martin has the story.
Rewind to August 2023. A round of high-profile military drills between the U.S. and Australia were in full swing, called the Talisman Sabre exercises. They practiced amphibious landings, ground combat, and air operations. But besides deepening cooperation, they also held a discrete value. U.S. officials told Reuters that the drills created new stockpiles of military equipment that were left behind in Australia after the drills ended. It included roughly 330 vehicles and trailers and 130 containers in warehouses in southeastern Australia. That gear would prove enough to supply about 3 logistics companies with as many as 500 or more soldiers and could power a future drill, a natural disaster, or aid a war. The Pacific region would be one of the greatest choke points and potential vulnerabilities if conflict broke out over Taiwan. The move falls in line with efforts to shore up possible weak points and boost Western preparedness.
An update on a brutal attack on 2 police officers near Times Square. New York Governor Kathy Hochul now reportedly says ICE officers should consider deporting the suspects who are believed to be illegal immigrants. NTD spoke with the Democratic New York City Council member Robert Holden, who says he agrees with the governor.
You kick an officer in the face several times and punch an officer who's doing their jobs. You should not have the right to walk the streets of New York City or America, for that matter, at all. I don't know why we're called a sanctuary city, because we want to protect criminals. No, that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
This video here shows 2 officers who are trying to get people to move along were attacked by a group of people believed to be illegal immigrants. A fight broke out with the suspects punching and kicking the officers in the heads while they were on the ground. The New York Police Department confirmed to the NTD that they've arrested 5 of the suspects. They're now facing multiple charges, but were released without bail. A battle for union support. Former President Trump met Teamsters Union leaders in Washington yesterday. And President Biden heading for Michigan today. He's set to meet with United Auto Workers members. Both Trump and Biden are preparing for a likely general election rematch. NTD's Arlene Richards has more.
Well, thank you very much.
Former President Trump Wednesday meets with Teamsters Union leaders and members in Washington. President Biden is set to meet with United Auto Workers members Thursday in the battleground state of Michigan. 2 candidates, 1 goal: to get the working class vote. Union endorsements could be crucial in a presidential race where just a few thousand votes in several key states could decide the 2024 election. Trump's meeting with the Teamsters follows a private get-together with union leader Sean O'Brien. The 2 met at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort 4 weeks ago. But the Teamsters haven't endorsed Trump yet. They endorsed President Biden in 2020. O'Brien also invited Biden to meet at his headquarters. Biden has won endorsements from most of the nation's major labor unions. United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain last week delivered a fiery speech in Washington to endorse Biden. He told Face the Nation Sunday why he chose Biden over Trump.
President Biden has always bet on the American worker and stood with the American worker, and he proved that during this presidency.
In his speech last week, Fain said Trump stands against everything we stand for. But the UAW was slow to endorse Biden, despite his joining striking auto workers last September. It is unclear when Biden will meet with the Teamsters. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
A $79 billion tax cut package that enhances the child tax credit for millions of lower-income families and boosts tax breaks for businesses was passed by the House of Representatives last night. The bill gives policy wins to Democrats and Republicans, but it has also received pushback from both sides. Next, go to the Senate. NTD's Daniel Monahan has a story here.
The House passed the bill with broad bipartisan support in a 357-70 vote. It would increase the maximum refundable credit for families who owe little or no income tax. Low-income families with more than 1 child would receive the same credit for each of their children, but it wouldn't change the minimum earnings threshold of $2,500 needed to begin to claim credit, nor would it change the requirement that children must have Social Security numbers for their families to file for the credit. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a left-leaning think tank, said that the bill could lift 500,000 children above the poverty line. The bill also aims to provide relief to businesses. Businesses could immediately deduct all their investment in research, machinery, and equipment. The deal would provide relief for those affected by disasters, including recent hurricanes, flooding, wildfires, and train derailments, and remove the current double taxation for businesses and workers with operations in both the U.S. and Taiwan. But not everyone is on board with the provisions. For some Democrats, the tax credit expansion wasn't enough. Congresswoman Rose DeLauro said she voted against the bill because she believes it provides billions of dollars in tax relief for the wealthy and pennies for the poor.
It is a mockery of who representative government works for. This bill delivers massive tax cuts for the biggest corporations, while denying middle-class families the economic security they had under the expanded monthly child tax credit.
For some Republicans, the tax credit expansion was going too far. Conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation says the bill rejects the principles of successful pro-family welfare reform. They said any potential growth from the business provisions would be insignificant, while the family benefits would weaken welfare, affirmed when it would come to a vote. Senator Mike Crapo, who lead the Senate GOP response, said he wants the bill to go through a committee where it can be revised before being voted on.
One half of Kentucky's state House passing a bill that mandates the moment of silence at the start of each public school day. The measure provides guidance from parents and not from school staff on how students can use their time during this silence self-reflection. With a 79-17 vote, the Kentucky House passes a bill allowing for a daily moment of silence in schools. The proposal is now moving to the state Senate. The policy mandates a quiet reflection period of 1 to 2 minutes at the start of each first class of each day in public schools for students. Students and parents have a choice of how to spend it. Critics see it as a push for a return to prayer in schools, but supporters believe it's a much-needed pause to thank God and a benefit to education and students alike. An American woman went missing in Guatemala in October. A witness account says she drowned, but unusual behavior and a lack of information has her family searching for answers. NTD's Jason Blair joins us now to break it down. Jason, thanks for joining us here. Now tell us a little bit of background on this case. What's behind and going on here?
Yeah, Jack, this has been a missing person case for about 15 weeks now. American woman Nancy Ng went missing in Guatemala on a yoga retreat. She was last seen in a kayak paddling on Lake Adelon, which is a big lake in Guatemala. Now, the things that are kind of bizarre about this case is the way some of the witnesses reacted. Now, the direct witness apparently gave a statement to the Guatemalan authorities, and the yoga retreat leader also, instead of kind of staying and looking for the woman, they all left. And it looks like they left actually a day earlier, or at least he did a day earlier than was expected. And so what happened is the family had not been in touch with the woman. She was kind of unplugging from her phone. She wasn't contacting anybody. And they all of a sudden got a call from the yoga instructor saying, Nancy is missing. We don't, I don't know a whole lot about what happened, but you'll find out later. And basically from then, they really didn't find out much more information until a month later. The direct witness did not respond to any of their requests for information. And they also did not respond. She also did not respond to the search teams. Now, the latest information that I received not that long ago, last week, was that the Guatemalan investigation by authorities there say that there was an alleged bribe that took place at the police station. And they are currently investigating that. The bribe was in exchange for omitting the direct witness, Christina Blazek's police statement, as well as to keep her out of custody. Now, that is currently being investigated, but that would possibly explain why they were never able to find that police statement when they were looking for it, and they still have not found that police statement, so they don't know what her account was after the incident. So now the family has taken a break a little bit from the search efforts, but they tell me they are planning to continue the search. They're going to continue looking for Nancy in the water, and also continue working with the investigation in Guatemala to see if they can find more information, because she told me that, last time I talked to her, that the sister said they feel like they don't have the basic information that they should have normally been told right after the incident happened. Everybody just kind of clammed up and didn't say anything, and hasn't really said much since then.
Well, it definitely has us keeping our attention on it. It's a very bizarre case. And Jason, thank you very much for that update.
Thank you, Jack.
Now, farmers in France who've been grumbling about getting help from the government got their wish. Offers of cash assistance and other aid were made to help quell the protests. French farmers ended their protest as others rage on across the EU. The reason? The French government made promises to help them. This includes providing emergency cash, tighter regulations on food imports, tax breaks, and using more pesticides that other EU nations use. French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal made the announcement today. Meanwhile, across Europe, farmers are continuing their fight for the same help. In Brussels, home to the EU headquarters, farmers set tires and straw on fire and threw beer bottles in the Belgium capital during a meeting of the EU summit. Farmer protests were also held in Portugal and Italy. Leaders of the 27 European Union countries sealed the deal today to provide Ukraine with 50 billion euros, about $54 billion, in support for its war-ravaged economy. That's after Hungary dropped its threats to veto the measure.
This is good news. Ukraine is our priority, and that is why we needed this agreement today by all 27 member states and from within the EU budget.
Hungary lifting its veto came as a surprise. Relations between the two countries have been tense. Hungary has long criticized Ukraine for allegedly curbing the rights of ethnic Hungarians. The financial package was part of a review of the EU's continuing 7-year budget, which requires unanimous approval. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday thanked the EU for the funding. He says this is a clear signal that Ukraine and Europe will withstand Russia's invasion. When we come back, California hit by one storm and bracing for another. One community is coming together to prepare for torrential rains and possible flooding. The state of Texas is suing 5 of its cities for their laws on marijuana. The cities have legalized it, which conflicts with state law. That and more after the break.
Art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, and moving. Experience art with 5,000 years of history, inspired by the divine. Experience Shen-Yun.
Hi, I'm Elijah. When I grow up, I want to be a robotic engineer.
Robert does everything he can as a grandfather to provide for Elijah and his 5 siblings.
Not being hungry allows my grandkids to live, to enjoy life.
When I'm hungry, it affects me. Like if I'm trying to read, I'll go to sleep, or if I'm trying to do something around class, I'll get distracted.
Every child has dreams, and every child needs healthy food to make those dreams come true. 1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
It helps us, like if we need some food, we'll go get food.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call now or go online at helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. When you give by credit card, you'll receive this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you're a part of a movement, to ensure that everyone has the food and resources they need to thrive. Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
The tempting online world is encroaching on our campus. Is unplugging cables and confiscating phones the solution to protect our children? No, we just need a clean multimedia platform. Join Ganjing Campus to leverage premium channel features, professional development courses, and kindness event toolkits tailored for teachers. Build a truly positive and interactive classroom community. Foster a pure and delightful learning environment for children.
Welcome back. A powerful storm that bore down on much of California on Wednesday continued overnight into Thursday. Officials urged residents to brace themselves for the heavy rain. NTD's Stephanie Sakal has an update on the weather from Los Angeles.
California is facing back-to-back storms known as atmospheric rivers. This week, the storm is expected to bring 1 to 3 inches of rain, especially here in Southern California. Flood warnings are in full effect. Residents of San Diego are preparing for the worst. They were just swamped by flooding last week. Locals are coming together and filling bags of sand for flood preparations.
I've been out here since 5 o'clock this morning filling bags, and the residents in this neighborhood, they enthusiastic about the help. They've all come down. As you guys can see now, there's people from the community here all helping out, pitching hands.
Later this week, a second storm is on track to hit the state.
The next storm might even be a little bit more powerful than this first storm. But the big issue with the next storm is the length of time that we're going to be under the moderate to heavy rain. And so that's going to add up very quickly and over a long period of time. So that could produce, again, not only urban flooding, but we're talking small rivers and streams.
The National Weather Service issued a winter storm warning for mountain areas in the Sierra Nevada. They could see up to 18 inches of snow. The silver lining is that this week storms are expected to improve weather levels across the state. Stephanie Sakal, NTD News, California.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is cracking down on marijuana. He recently filed a series of lawsuits against cities in Texas that have legalized marijuana. The lawsuits are targeting Austin, San Marcos, Killeen, Elgin, and Denton. These cities have legalized cannabis or allowed it to be bought and sold openly. Paxton said in a statement Wednesday that these policies violate state law. He said, quote, "The legislature passes every law after a full debate on the issues, and we don't allow cities the ability to create anarchy by picking and choosing the laws they enforce." Recreational use of drugs has been legalized in 24 states and 3 U.S. territories. 7 other states have decriminalized its use. Also in Texas today, Tesla owner Elon Musk will ask shareholders to allow him to register his EV company in the Lone Star State, instead of where its current registration is in Delaware. This comes just after a Delaware judge ordered Musk on Tuesday to give up a compensation package valued at $56 billion. Judge Kathleen McCormick called the package an unfathomable sum and claimed the process at arriving at that amount was deeply flawed. Following the ruling, Musk wrote on X, "Never incorporate your company in the state of Delaware." Musk already moved Tesla's headquarters from Palo Alto, California, to Austin, Texas in 2021. His other companies, SpaceX and The Boring Company, also operate in the Lone Star State. Red Sea attacks are still impacting major shipping companies, and creditors for Evergrande could be waiting a very long time to get their money back. Here's NTD's Don Ma with today's Business Brief.
All right, thank you, Jack. Here's what you need to know today. One of the world's largest container liner is reporting a significant drop in earnings last year as it expects trouble in the Red Sea to continue for months. The head of Germany's Hapag-Lloyd told reporters that attacks on cargo vessels by Yemen-based Houthi rebels are unlikely to end soon. And at the earliest, he sees a resolution in 6 months if a political deal and mission to protect freights can be reached. Now, the shipping company and others have been forced to take longer, more expensive trips around Africa. Hapag-Lloyd reported a fraction of earnings for last year, about $3 billion compared to $17 billion the year before. And bondholders of Chinese property giant Evergrande could be waiting years for potentially tiny payouts. And this is as the developer's court-ordered liquidation gets underway. A specialist with S&P Global Ratings said bondholders will likely be getting pennies on the dollar. In a new report, the agency found recovery rates were under 3% on average for offshore default cases of Chinese developers and about 8% for onshore rates. Evergrande, who has more than $300 billion in liabilities, was placed in liquidation by a Hong Kong court. And finally, the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady for the fourth time in the row. And the most noteworthy development to come out of yesterday's meeting was that Fed officials signaling that rate cuts could be coming later rather than sooner. Powell indicated that more confidence is needed on inflation before rate cuts can start. He said he didn't think officials would have that confidence just yet in time to lower rates at the next meeting in March from the Fed. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you, Don. And now you're up to date. Don't forget to tune in to NTD Evening News with Tiffany Meyer tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Jack Bradley. We'll see you tomorrow.